from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for a real-time recipe episode pulled out of the catalog. Because no matter the time of year, we want to make sure you have something sleepy to listen to. If you really love real-time recipe episodes, we would love to do more of these new ones in 2025. So if you can't support the show, because that's what makes stuff like this possible, and let me know. And you say, well, I can't afford to support the show. Let me know. Use the contact form on our website that you love real-time recipe episodes or whatever you love. I want to know about it so we can do more of it, because what makes it possible is you falling asleep. Those of you that support the show directly, those of you that support the sponsors, and those of you who support the show with kindness or by spreading the word. The most powerful thing you have is letting people know about this podcast or podcasts in general. And you can easily underestimate that, but I'm so thankful for that. If it wasn't for you letting one or two people know about the show, we wouldn't have Sleep With Me. So thank you so much. All right, everybody, Scoots here. It's time to talk about Helix Sleep. Sponsors been with the show a long time, and a sponsor I count on every night. So I want you to think about this November, getting yourself a new bed. But let me tell you a little story. Once upon a time, there was a sleep podcaster. And even before he was a sleep podcaster, he knew a lot about mattresses because he had sold mattresses in another life. He had delivered mattresses. Now, oh boy, there's an advantage right there. That Helix mattress comes straight to your door, shipped free of charge. So there's a huge bonus right there. You don't have to go to a store and test it out. This once upon a time, there was somebody named Scooter who there's no way you would ever find him trying to lie on a bunch of different mattresses in a store while a salesperson watched him. And I don't have to, because that little podcaster of mine, a long, long time ago, in a sleep galaxy far, far away, he took that Helix quiz. He got matched because he sleeps on his side, he sleeps on his stomach, he gets warm at night. So he was looking for something that fit his needs. He took that Helix quiz. He got matched with the Helix Dusk, and they lived happily ever after because that mattress was just right. I mean, I'm no Goldilocks, clearly, but oh boy, is the Helix Dusk Lux just right for me. But that's the thing. You take the Helix quiz, you find the mattress that's just right for you. But in November, it gets even better because when you support Helix, you support Sleep With Me. You get a mattress that fits your needs and how you sleep. But Helix has got this amazing deal just in November. 25% off site-wide, plus 2 free Dream pillows with any mattress purchase. But it gets even better than that. They have a free bedding bundle, 2 Dream pillows, a sheet set, and a mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. And all you have to do is use our link, helixsleep.com/sleep. Get over there so I can hear about your happily, and you and your Helix lived happily ever after too. So congratulations on making this a great month in November for you and your sleep. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots, and if you're listening right now, I want to tell you about Sleep With Me Plus, our membership program where you could support the show that you rely on, the podcast that puts you to sleep. You get ad-free episodes, story-only versions, and much, much more. And we count on the listeners who value the show and are willing to support the show back. So if you're one of the people who counts on Sleep With Me every single night, maybe you listen all night long. Maybe you listen 5 nights a week. Sleep With Me Plus is made for you and how you listen to the show. And if you're planning on listening next year or the next 4 years or even the next few months, please consider supporting the show back. I mean, like I said, it's an amazing platform that we have at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, but it also keeps the show going for you and everybody else that's going to count on it. Whether it's through this holiday season, to keep you company in the deep, dark night. And you can sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. From the people I've been hearing about that finally took action, they said, Scoots, I did hear you. I was listening. It's best to sign up right now because you probably will fall asleep and forget about it. And I realize that's interrupting you drifting off tonight. But if you do it tonight, if you do it right now, You'll be like, okay, man, I'm a part of this amazing thing, and I'm making it happen now and long into the future. So sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, and thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being that person who's listening to me and hearing me and taking action, because you're rare and you're powerful. Like, you're helping out so many other people, keeping this community going, this welcoming place long into the future. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, if you're not in a position to support the show directly financially, but you want that access to Sleep With Me Plus, you could get it for free just by referring people with our referral program. And you can sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. And you just refer people to free podcasts and you get rewarded with Sleep With Me Plus. And if you've tried the referral program or you're unable to do the referral program for some reason, let me know through the contact form on our website, because we do have a scholarship program set up too. We just ask you to try out the referral program first. So, yeah, that's an option, because, yeah, if you're looking for access to that sweet, sweet stuff, we're here for you. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, you up all night, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts you're thinking about. So things on your mind. It could be, they could be pop-up thoughts, or like lean in. What about slide? Those slide in thoughts. Like this one, there's this. This is another thing from like 2018, sliding in your DMs. But those thoughts, they do slide right in. They say, "Hey, what up? I want you to give me some attention right now. I'm back from 12 years ago, or I'm from what I anticipate the future will be, even though I've never been accurate in any of my predictions, except when I post-predict. Post predictors. That's another thing that keeps me up at night. It says, "See, I told you so." And you say, well, no, actually, when you told me about this, you said it was going to be like this, this, and this, and then that, and then this. So you were actually only right about this, that at some point in my future, things wouldn't be super easy. You were right about that, I guess. Yep, see, I told you so. You see, could you slide? So it's hard. So thoughts, feelings, physical sensations is what I was going to say. But it can be hard when those things slide in there, because you can't just slide them back out. Unfortunately, it's like they slid down some sort of slippery ramp, and they're also they have a lot of mass. So you see, I'm going to push you right. I'm going to slide you right out of here. You say, well, it's uphill, it's slippery. And it might not look like I have, I've got a lot of mass, so moving me is not going to be easy. So why don't you just let me sit here and talk to you about the stuff I was going to told you so about. So whatever it is that's keeping you awake, could be one of those things. Obviously, you know what it is for me, because you say, Scooch, you never described it that way, but you really got it down. But it could also be like a version of that that's more feeling-based or physical sensations. And it could be something else. Sometimes it's just the old baffling You say, what the heck? Why can't I fall asleep? Or, something specific. Whatever it is, I'm here to try to take your mind off that and keep you company while you fall asleep. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to try to create a safe place where you could set aside things. I'm going to smooth that. Unfortunately, I guess I decided, like, the safe place already had these ramps with the sliders in there. I don't know who greased them up. They greased up the old ramps and the sliders, but I wish they didn't. But I got a nice safe place, and I'm just going to distract you from that. So it's almost like we're in a giant safe place. Right now, I'm picturing a warehouse, which is normally not a giant one, because I was just trying to think of where else there would be big ramps where imaginary DM told you so or slide-inners would be existing. And I would want to point out in a positive way, it is really smooth when you slide that way. It looks really good, but I'm just trying to go to bed. But don't worry, there's plenty of space, and it's cozy. I have cozy places in this giant building. Technically, it's not a warehouse. I just called it that to try to be illustrative. It's a safe place, and it's not. It's like an industrial. It's an industrial. We've rezoned it. It was once an industrial building. But now it's a safe, that's like, yeah, yeah. So what was I talking about? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to create a safe place. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic, go like way off topic and get mixed up. And extra words, that's another thing. So if you're a new listener, I'm glad you're here. If you're a regular listener, I'm so happy to have you back. Thank you so much. But if you're new, I do like to take some time to give you some information. A couple of things to know. Usually they start off differently, but I'll let you know structure of the show is different right up front. So this podcast starts off with a greeting. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary. So hopefully you feel seen and welcome. Then there's a business. That's how we're able to get you this podcast twice a week. So that is about 2 to 4, 6 minutes. I don't know. It just depends on how successful it's going. And then there's the intro. So from 6 minutes to about 22 minutes is the intro of the show. And particularly for new people, they say, wait, there's business and then there's an intro? That doesn't sound, and I'd say, well, it's all part of the process. But you when you first get here, you say, wait a second. So you'll kind of see the whole idea of the intro. The reason the intro goes like for about 15 to 20 minutes is that it gives you a way to slide into bedtime without sliding or the greasy stuff that I earlier described. I usually say ease into bedtime, but I said, well, I'm talking about sliding. And hopefully, just like that song, whoever sang it, I don't know if it was it's Garfunkel and Simon or Simon and Garfunkel, but like slip sliding away. Could have been one of them solo, or it could have been somebody else. But hopefully I have whatever's keeping you awake slip sliding away. And you say, wait a second, what if we reverse things? You're right. What if we put the safe place up above the ramps? And then the people that slid into the DMs, they would have to climb up the ramp, which would be really hard. Wow. We already talk about solving problems together. Thank you, new listener. But so the long intro is it eases you into bedtime. So some regular listeners, they start it before they get into bed. Some start it in bed. Some listen during the day for distraction. And it's totally okay to skip it. Like 2% of people start the show around between 20 and 22 minutes. But for most people, that's just part of their bedtime routine. And for a new listener, it kind of gives you an idea of the nonsense that is going to be going on throughout this podcast. But when you first listen, you say, wait a second, I don't understand this. So another thing to remind you is to kind of listen to this podcast loosely. Like, don't pay too much attention or don't kind of wait for it to get started. I mean, at first you will, naturally. But if one part of you can hold it loosely, And just imagine that DM slide and told you so. Or now we're in an enviable position. We're up past a ramp, but you say, well, no one will ever slide into my DMs again. And this will be a tech conference in 2028. They say, well, how'd you figure that out? How did you get people from stop sliding in their DMs? They say, well, you shut it off. And they said, no. But what was this other way? You said you used physics. And I say, oh yeah, what we did was we took the inbox and we put it higher than so it became impossible nothing would get in the inbox at that point, unfortunately. Unless, they had like you had to go get it, so it didn't work out as it intended. But basically unless you had a pulley, we used a pulley-based system for messages you thought you wanted. But otherwise it was a greased ramp. Is that in the internet, the architecture of things? Yeah, it's in the architecture stuff. Yeah, we greased up a ramp and then we put the inbox up above it instead of down below it, so you could no longer slide in anywhere. Oh, okay. This was. Did you code it yourself? And I say I coded the ramp with different greasy things. I used 10-in-1 oil and a bunch of different other stuff. Okay. Oh, so I got to get back to the new listener, though. Sorry about that. I was basking in my future dreams of, I don't like speaking anyway, so I don't think that, okay, so give it a few tries. That's what I said. Most listeners say took 2 or 3 tries to get used to this fact that the podcast is pretty weird. So if you want, give it a few tries, because hopefully it'll help, but it rarely helps anybody on their first listen. Though it does. I mean, maybe like 20% of people say it worked great right away. And I said, well, that's because you share some of these. We have direct sharing of like some of this stuff. Like you also probably have a told you so or in your brain. So I would say great. But then I say, well, if you got a told you so or anything like mine. So anyway, so that's another thing. So after the intro is business, then there'll be a kind of story-like thing. We call it real-time recipes around here, these parts. And I'll run through some things I've cooked recently and you go shopping and stuff like that. So that's, right? Okay. And then, and then at the end of the show are some thank yous and good night. So that's the structure of the show. The other thing you might want to know is that this podcast doesn't really put you to sleep. It keeps you company while you fall asleep. There's more and more sleep audio every single day, it feels like. And a lot of that stuff is like, we'll put you to sleep or this kind of thing. The sleep in me, it keeps you company. And you fall asleep. I'm here keeping you company even after you fall asleep for most people. But if you can't sleep, I want to tell you, I'm going to be here keeping you company as well. So if you're in a situation where you can't sleep, maybe it's just because it's warm out, or maybe it's something else, or maybe you just need something to listen to late at night, or during the day, or early in the morning, whatever it is, I'm here for you. And I'll be here to the very end of this podcast to keep you company. But for most of you, what that means is I'll be here keeping you company while you're already falling asleep. That's what a boyfriend does. It's part of the boyfriend code, which thus far I haven't thought of. Maybe that'll be an episode I'll record, but the boyfriend code, greasing ramps that have, imaginary ramps in this one situation and labeling them properly for other situations that say, warning, if you're not a DM sliding told you so, or this is a greasy ramp. So like, that's what all this tape is for, and these bells and these, all that stuff go around, or use this sled and say, whippity wee. Or if you're on your way back up, we got a pulley we designed, and also a block and tackle, maybe, probably pulley and a block and tackle, because I don't think I ever took physics. I remember they had it at my high school, but it might have been just one. I was not I got into the old track at 7th grade. They said, well, this kid's got some His potential is interesting. That's the track they put me in. Potential? Interesting. Back then they said, So that's what probably one of the reasons I didn't take physics. Maybe it was optional, though. I can't believe I would have missed out. I remember my friends telling me, and the physics teacher was cool, but whatever. Maybe it was an elective. I don't know. So anyway, enough about me. So if you can't sleep, I'll be here to the very end. But for most of you, I'm going to be here keeping you company as you drift off or when you wake up and you need company. So those are the other things. The reason I make the show is because you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place where you can get some rest, whether it's this podcast or one of the other sleep audios or sleep podcasts out there. Whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company. So, yeah, I think that's it. I just said, what. So whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff. And I got mixed up. My mind just blanked. That's like, now I'm trying to picture that greasy ramp, or slippery ramp, slip sliding away. Oh, you deserve a good night's sleep because if you're rested, the world's going to be a better place. Even if it's just your world, you might say, oh, it matters to me if your world's a better place. And we know now, that it matters to the world. Like, it'll build a little bit more positivity in there. And part of the reason I care is because I've been there. I know how it feels in the deep, dark night, tossing, turning, mind racing, told you soing. You say, I self-should myself. You say, like, I don't know what auto thingamajig that is, but yeah, I've self-shoulded. Oh boy, if I told myself so. Another autobiography, probably. I told I so. Instead of you, I told you so. I told you so. I told I so. You told I so. No, I told I so. I'm sorry, what? It can't even make a joke out of it. It makes so little sense. So anyway, that's the main things you need to know if you're new. Give it a few tries. I really hope it can help. But those of you that are regular listeners, I have great love for you. And I really hope the podcast can keep helping you for as long as you need it. And thank you for, being there for me. I'm not perfect. I'm always trying. And, I think the main thing that connects us here is the deep, dark night. And I know it's not easy out there. So if you're here on a regular basis or if you're new, I work very hard. I yearn and I strive because I really want to help you, this podcast. I really want to help you fall asleep with this podcast. Thanks so much for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we're able to bring you this podcast twice a week. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. All right, everybody, it's Scoots here, and I'm going to take you on a little journey. It's time for a real-time recipe episode. And the recipe we're going to be using, or one of them, is made by a moderator of the listener Facebook group, a friend of mine, Stacy. And I'm going to have links to Stacy's Instagram and Stacy's podcast, all the things Stacy's working on, because it's really an honor to share. And also, I got to repurpose this recipe, so we're going to do it 3 different ways. But first, I want to take you on a little walk. Hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, it's time to make it. It's time to make a breakfast. I guess technically brunch. Thanks for meeting me here under this lovely tree. And you see, well, don't we usually meet at your apartment or at the grocery store? And I see, yeah, tonight we're going to do stuff a little bit different because it's not nighttime, it's daytime. And yeah, it's nice standing under this tree. There's no leaves on the tree because it's wintertime. But oh boy, is that a nice tree. Do I love this tree. Lovetree. No, I never heard that before. They don't have any odes for this tree. but it's a tree near you and me. Let's start walking here. We're walking down this street of mine, and it's important for me to take a walk with you. One, because we're going to order our food or our ingredients, even though they're already ordered. You know, this is the magic of podcasting. And because we just the time period we're in, but also you see, okay, fair enough. When was the last time I was at TJ's? I actually have no idea. I'm trying to think honestly. I know I've been there. There was one day. Well, here's what happened. The last time I went, but I wanted to go. I said to myself, okay, I'm going to get up early and go. Is that when it happened, or is that the second time? Was that 2 times ago? I definitely haven't been in 21, and it was, I think before the holidays in 2020, I tried to get an early start. Maybe. I can see myself in there. Okay, so don't worry. I can see myself there. Maybe it was between the holidays. I don't know. I know I went there before Thanksgiving. I think that was the time I actually got there when it opened. But it was raining, and I waited in line to go in. I guess I'm still taking it. And my goal was to get something to have. This was between Thanksgiving and Christmas because I said, okay, let me figure out what we're going to have for a Christmas meal or a Christmas Eve meal. And they had that, I've talked about it before, a pancetta wrapped pork roast, and that was pretty good. But they didn't have that, and they actually didn't have anything that I could prepare. So I think I made pot roast, which is, pot roast in the Instapot is an easy, tasty dish. I had the roast to put in the pot, the Instapot roast. Though it's not instant, it takes a while. Or maybe pork shoulder. Those are the 2 things I make in the Instapot that would be considered holiday-style meals. But I went there for that. So that was the last time I was there that I remember. And I got Cruciferous Crunch for Koa. What else did I get while I was there? Coffee. I didn't get enough coffee. And that's one of the things I miss the most is there are 2 coffees that I drink so much. French roast and the French vanilla, dormez-vous, right? It's like cool, sorry, that was an accident. I didn't mean to put in it that much. That was just natural stutter. Mrs. Robinson, let me tell you how much of the coffee that I love from there. I have replaced it. Unfortunately, I've had to go to the big box grocery store just because I don't have time to be in line. But now, so I'm virtually taking you there through this magical app we call a podcast app as we walk together on the sidewalk. We're just passing what would be known as Christmas Tree Lane, but we're in 2021 now. And it's important. Trust me, this walk is important. My oven's preheating. Someone's monitoring it, though. I did not turn the oven on and leave the house alone. And no, Koa's not the oven monitor. Though that would be good. Probably not. You say, Koa, can you bark if the oven needs to be shut off? And you have an oven that shuts off with a certain dog bark. That's certain to work out so well. Okay, where were we? Oh, the last time I was at TJ's, the last 2 times, maybe one memory combined. Oh, I got, what's that called? The Kringle, almond Kringle. They had that one of the last 2 times I was there. So I got that. Was this a Trader Joe's review podcast? I guess part of it is. So I definitely got that. Probably whole milk mozzarella because I used that to make pizza on Fridays. What else would I have got while I was there? Maybe pizza crust. And they have this, I talked about it too, maybe. They have this pre-baked pizza crust. Not like a traditional round pizza. They're rectangular that I enjoy. Probably got tomatoes, of course, and broccoli for my puppy Puko. Onions. I try to always buy onions and garlic. One of the 2 trips I got the Trader Joe's JoJo ice cream because I said, well, I should get that. this is something, I mean, it's out of season now. And you may have heard me say this before, but maybe I haven't said it publicly. My body does not, or Trader Joe's eggnog and my body do not agree with one another. And like either one, light or regular. And I'm not sure which the ingredient. Every year I say, let me line up the ingredients with Trader Joe's. And they're not the lone offender. There is one or two other ones that, of course, I didn't remember that they give me a little tummy poo. No other ones don't. I don't know if it's Cargigian goop or Carnauba it might be. Essence of xanthan is another one. I say, which one of those are the ones my tummy poo doesn't like? So these are some of my memories of Trader Joe's. You see, that's like an ode to 2020. Remember when I would frolic in these aisles? I mean, now it's a little bit more efficient, and I don't know if we have the data to back up which takes longer, but waiting outside, just not for me to go in. It just I'm not engaged with grocery purchasing. And then I'm like, well, I should be working on the podcast. So I can't do it. And I think I shared this with you. This was a long time ago, probably in the summer, but I was in line waiting to go into Trader Joe's. I was listening to a podcast, and I was wearing a Bright Sessions podcast T-shirt from the famous Lauren Shippen podcast, The Bright Sessions, which if you haven't listened to it, you should listen to. Have you listened to it? Okay, well, listen to it again. Or, yeah, why don't you listen to it in a different podcast app just to enjoy it once more? But so standing there in line, and, I tend to be pretty cranky, and this gentleman kept looking at me, and I said, that gentleman seems to be looking at me. And then I said, Scoots, it's only in your imagination. And I said, well, I don't know. It keeps looking at me. Maybe it's something like my purple bandana. Maybe it's my hair. But I'm pretty sure he's looking at me. I said, no, he's not looking at you. It's all in your mind. And then he couldn't take it anymore. And he was looking at me. He came up to me and he held up his phone at a distance and showed me that he was listening to the Bright Sessions while I was standing in line with a Bright Sessions T-shirt. Small world? I don't know. But pretty cool. Great news for podcasting. That's the kind of stuff that podcasters would kick our heels about, because you say, okay, wow, because believe it or not, only 1 out of 5 people regularly listen to podcasts. And I always say, man, I feel bad for all those people that are missing out on all this good stuff. So those are some thoughts I had. Let's see, what else? The last time I was at Trader Joe's, you're trying to get me to tell you more. I'm trying to not buy any treats or anything, because I got to do a calling of my cabinets at some point. What else? I'm picturing myself there. I don't think I bought anything new. I'm trying to think if they had anything new. One thing in the last 12 to 16 months that I bought there a few times, and this is, an allergen for some people, but a peanut butter powder or peanut butter flour, which I use in smoothies, and that is, holy moly good. I never just thought of it. I could use it in one of these recipes I'm talking about tonight. But, that's just another thing that I was thinking about is peanut butter. I don't know, whatever I was talking about, peanut butter powder. Peanut butter powder. It does sound nice, but I've bought that a couple times in the last year. I know it's been a while since we've cooked together. It just, I don't know. I needed some time. But that brings up the first 2 ingredients that we need. If we were at TJ's, I think we would have we think we'd have an 80% chance of getting these 2 ingredients. I know one of them would be in the high 90s, and that's almond flour. So we need almond flour, and we need coconut flour, which I don't know if they probably have that. It sounds like something they could have at Trader Joe's. But, I didn't purchase either one of those there. I purchased them. I don't know where I got them from. I mean, one of the, it was either delivered or I went to the, big box grocery store. oh, I dream of having Wegmans out here, even though I worked for Wegmans and it didn't work out. That's like the most popular big grocery store. And I don't think it started in Syracuse. I think it started in Rochester, but that was a big one in Syracuse. And I told you that story, right? How be careful, learn to listen to the people that have your best interests at heart and not for the glamour. But back in the day when I was just a lad, you could get a job. I'm pretty sure at 14 or 15. Like if you got a job when you were 14 or 15, you were very limited in how many hours you could work and the time you had to stop working. I'm not sure if it was 14 or 15. It was definitely pre-16. And the easiest place to get a job, not the easiest, but one of the common places to get a job was Wegmans. And kids that were older than you worked there. I guess I was in 7th grade. I want to see, yeah. So maybe I was in 8th grade. I don't know. Maybe I was in 9th grade. I don't know. But one of those years I got a job at Wegmans, along with a large number of my friends. Here's a fact I haven't shared, and I feel bad about this. So when I got the job, you have to go for your training, or a couple different kinds of training, some of which is in person, but some of which was at some sort of remote location. I didn't have a car, and my family was unable to drive me, and no one was there. So I was home by myself the night before. And I didn't do anything. This was before I got wild. This was when I was just 8th grade or 9th grade. I think it was the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade. No, it's definitely, I don't know. But so, not important. But one of the people that got a job, I went to middle school with. So maybe I was a freshman in high school. Or maybe I was almost going to be a sophomore. So I would have been 15. But she had a car, so she was older than me, I guess, because she had a car. So maybe I was 15 and she was 16, and there was one other person, and we said, we'll meet at the Wegmans we got our job at. And she would drive us to, which was like about a 20-minute walk from my house. And we were supposed to meet there at 8, and I rarely oversleep, and for some reason, the alarm I set didn't go off, and she was calling my house, and she said, where are you? We're waiting here at Wegmans. And I said, oh, goodness, and I had to run all the way to that Wegmans, and I think we were late. I feel bad about that. I'm sorry. It wasn't actually, I thought I slept in my parents' bed. That's where the trouble started, because they had an alarm clock and a big bed, and no one was there. I don't know, it's that strange. It was a giant bed. I said, well, I'm going to sleep in this giant bed and live the large life. I was probably staying up playing video games. Okay, so anyway, back to reality. We don't have Wegmans. I got to finish the story, right? Not the story I went off topic about. So I got a job there, started working there as a cashier. And I don't think I can overstate how difficult that job is and how much people take it for granted, or I did. What I learned is that it was a very intense, you're doing customer service and data entry, and you're checking people out all at the same time. And I'm not suited for any of those things. And I found that out. And you're standing, which is not easy for 4 to 6 to 8 hour shifts. And so it quickly did not go well because my attention to detail and my ability to smile whenever needed was not happening. So, but I remember this friend of mine who's up there somewhere, Alfred, he said, you don't want to be a cashier. You want to work in either the bakery or the dairy or the fruits and vegetables department. Trust me. And I said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The cashiers are where the action is, man. That's where the fame, that's where Hollywood finds celebrities. And that's where that as a kid, you always dream of being at least I did, of being the cashier. Because the cashiers I had were good. They were smiling and making you feel good and efficient. And also there's cool kids like my friend Pat's brother, Dan. He was a cashier. He was good at it, though. So it turns out I wasn't good at it, and I should have stayed. I should have worked in the bakery or in produce. That's where I think Alfred worked, but I didn't. So there's that story. So, okay, but I was going to tell another story because the almond and the coconut flour are going to be foundations of this dish, right? That Stacy gave us. And I thought, oh, well, this is also about the founding of the. So the listeners have their own Facebook group. And the two women that founded it were Laura and Alexandra, the flowers of this listener group. They sent me a Antonio Banderas blanket. Yeah, that's from them. The whole Facebook group. And they sent me like this great audio message with all these people saying thank you. It was amazing. I cried, and then I cried, and then I cried some more. But so I was thinking about that. It's like, so they just reached out to me, I think separately. This was in like 2014 or something. They said, hey, there should be a group for people that listen to podcasts to get together. And I don't know what I said back. Like basically, like between my job and the podcast, I don't really have any bandwidth. Plus, I'm not like exactly extroverted. And then I think I said, well, let me introduce the two of you to one another because you both want to start something. And then I said, I think it'd be better if you just started independent of the podcast. I could try to be a member of it. And then I said, but I would appreciate it, if we figure out a way to make it a safe place without, a lot of the stuff that makes social media too intense for me, at least. And I think they started out and they moderated it very well, but eventually they needed to get some extra moderators in there to help them. And, people come and go. So there was like, and so these are some of the other things we're going to need is these two sugars. These are sugar substitutes from Swerve. I love saying that, Swerve, man. So I have Swerve granulated sugar and Swerve brown sugar. Here, I have it with me. See that? It feels like, even though it's in a bag, it feels like brown sugar in the brown sugar one, huh? So these sugars will represent the former narrators, Lida and Summer, because they were both very sweet people. I guess, I don't know. There's no substitute for them, we'll say. But, people can be a moderator, but you can't, not everybody. It doesn't, like I said, couldn't even start a group like that because I said, well, I can't fit it in. And it's not for me. So you say, okay, well, just like other kind of commitments, you say, I could do that for 6 months. So those are 4 of the ingredients we need. Another one we need is puts some air into it is a baking soda. And so the baking soda will represent the other former narrator, Julie. So that'll be another thing that creates a chemical reaction that allows to put some air to aerate things. I think that's what we're using baking powder in this recipe, which I have at home. Then we'll have salt, which I think we'll just say salt rubber, that's just an element. So it's already there. Pre-narrators, there was salt. We can all agree on that. Yeah, I'm carrying it with us on our walk because I have an important thing about our walk before we get back. So, what was it? Oh, I'm going through the ingredients now, and I'm starting to forget what else we need. So just pardon me. Well, there's eggs. So I think that we'll use large eggs for this one. And when I think of eggs, well, I know Alexandra has chickens, but I also think of like a teacher, which would be Sarah, one of the narrators, is a teacher because they say like being a teacher is like kind of managing little chickadees or hens, things running around and saying, okay, let's have our focus here. So that's what those eggs will be. So, and we'll use large eggs. And the next ingredient I have in here is cinnamon. And when I think of cinnamon, I think of Julie C, because the C, but also because Julie's one of the listeners I've met in the Notary. I met like Alexandra, and then the people who have come to the live shows. But I think when I think of cinnamon, Julie C is the one who came up with, who said, hey, what about friends beyond the binary? And I think like the idea of Julie C added this ingredient that you could, like I said, this podcast is missing something in the greeting that doesn't make it feel as welcoming. How do I come up with it? Just like when you eat something, you say, what is this that adds a layer to it? Or this is missing something. You won't be missing anything with cinnamon or the ideas from Julie C. So that's the next one. And then another important thing is having in this case, it's a vanilla we're going to put in there. And that makes me think of Jennifer, our narrator. Because again, you see, well, this is an essential ingredient to add something and that you might not know, like, especially being a narrator. It's not flashy as people think, much like being a cashier. Like I said, and sometimes you miss out and you see, but if there wasn't the vanilla in there, vanilla extract in this case, so you'd say, well, this is missing something. And without the cinnamon and the vanilla extract, you wouldn't have something as special. So that's what Jennifer adds. And then, now, luckily I brought this in a special container so we could do it with purpose, is butter. And like butter is something, that adds flavor. I don't know, it does, I don't know if it emulsifies or bonds or whatever, but you'd say butter's a big part of it. And that reminds me of the narrator, Keith. And in that group, it seems like Keith adds a lot of songs and fun things that like if you were using butter in another situation, you say, oh, butter makes it smooth, like you say, rub some butter on it and then it'll get rid of the chafing. So while butter isn't associated with being lighthearted and that's the connection I make with Keith. But so, yeah, that group of people on and off, and some of them on the whole time, have started the group and then maintained this just group of listeners who just support one another and be kind. And so that's always been amazing to me. So we're going to turn here and you can see this piece of, what do you call this piece of dirt here? So there's we're on the sidewalk, right? On the left are people's homes in their yards. Then there's sidewalk. Then on the right, there's these other small patches of grass. Dog bathrooms would be another way to refer to them as, though some people don't make it, they make them undog friendly. Some people say, I don't bother. It's a dog bathroom. Just keep it as dirt. I like those people. Other people say, let's put something that either grass or some sort of, now I see people using more and more hardy, like local or drought tolerant plants or mulch. What is that called between the sidewalk and the road? Because I could write a book about that. You say, my story, my life between the sidewalk and the road as a dog. Couldn't sell a book called As a Dog Bathroom. You could put that in parentheses after the book title, but I don't know what you'd call it anyway. It's like, my life is a dog bathroom. That wouldn't work. But you see, my life between the sidewalk and the road. Probably just a poem. Oh, yeah, I like that idea. But it was that kind of place, other than dogs going, my dog and other dogs going to the bathroom, a lot of times is a place where I find magical things that people have left outside with an FREE sign, FREE sign on it. Now, we're not allowed to do that where I live now, and I haven't actually, one time, my landlord thought that I was the one that broke the rule and sent out a text. And I said, no, it's not my thing that's out there for FREE. Because he said, well, that's not allowed. We're like, and I said, okay, I understand. But and before, so usually I just put my stuff. I did have one thing free recently, but I just said, text me when you're here and then I'll bring it out. I posted it on the CL for free. And you got to do that twice because usually you have like 8 people that don't show up. So there was that. Oh, so this is right where I found, and it was a Sunday. I was coming back from my run. That's when I find the magic stuff because garbage day is Monday night. And I guess they think if you put it on a Saturday or Sunday, probably more people walking. Probably your homes. You see, you're like, you got to get rid of this. I told you 50,000 times. So this one was a waffle maker. Now, it wasn't in the box, but it said free, only used twice. And it had even had the instruction manual taped to it. And I think it's implied when you say only used twice that it still works. Like sometimes people put free still works or free doesn't work. It did have, I wouldn't call it an albatross, but I think it was like 2 or 3 Decembers ago, between Christmas and New Year's, I was coming back for a run. It was just starting to rain, and I found there's a TV box for a brand new TV, and it said free. And I said, what in the hey, I might as well take this. And I think it said works, TV works, speakers don't. But it was in like a brand new 2018 TV box, but it was really like a 2007 TV. And I used that as a monitor it was too big for my computer monitor, but I was stubborn. I said, I'm going to use it anyway. It took up my whole desk. And so then I stopped using my desk. So eventually, because of 2020, that was what I put on free, Craigslist free, and somebody picked it up. So it was in my place for like 2 years. Poor thing. Didn't get much attention. But so here I found this waffle maker. And I never owned a waffle maker. My mother owns a waffle maker, I think. And so I said, free, only used twice. And part of me sometimes says, just keep walking. The old condo in me, that little piece of Marie that lives deep inside me. But Marie would be proud of me in this case because it said, keep walking. Do not stop and pick up that waffle maker. But the little boy, he said, but it's a waffle maker. We don't have what do we have to lose here? And then it got me. He said, well, what if we walk by it and then wouldn't you regret not trying it to see if it actually works? So we could always leave it sitting around our apartment for 2 or 3 years and then put it on Craigslist and only used 3 times. And I said, okay, you're right. So I took it home that day. I haven't named it, but oh boy, has this become a staple of my home. This waffle maker, this little waffle maker of mine, it won't be long that it'll shine. And I'm not sure if I made something that day or not, but I don't think I ran home and cooked waffles that day that I can think of. And I didn't go on any blogs that day or night. But the first thing I waffled, which this is a free recipe. We're not going to make it because we're making Stacy's recipes. And let's start. But I'll show you the waffle maker because we're back. And you could start preparing. Now we're going to make this Stacy's dish 3 ways. 2 ways are already in production. So we really only have to make it 1 way now with us together. So first thing I want you to do is you brought a sifter, right? No? Okay. Well, first thing is Google how to replace a sifter. And then I want you to take, so I have everything laid out because I already made it. What did I use to sift? A sifter substitute. Okay, but you're going to take a half cup of almond flour and 4 tablespoons of coconut flour, okay? And, what are we making? Cinnamon coffee cake 3 ways, my dear. What do you think? We're making it in honor of the listener Facebook group and the Narrators, Narrating Coffee Cake. Okay, so a half cup almond flour and 4 tablespoons of coconut flour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder, okay? And sift that up while I talk about this waffle maker. This is a Presto. I don't know if I call it Presto. I'm going to start calling it Presto 9000. And you'd say, Scoots, would you recommend me purchasing a Presto 9000? I'd say, no, this is the only waffle maker I've ever known. So I can't say for sure that this is a waffle maker for me. So what did I do? I came home, I wiped it off. And then I don't know if it was the first day or the second day, but I really lucked out in some sense because I've been trying to eat more oatmeal. My friend Lauren, who makes a criminal podcast, and I have been talking oatmeal, like different oatmeals. So I've been eating more oatmeal, but then a lot of times my oatmeal's cold. So I said, wait a second, I have a cold day-old oatmeal in my refrigerator in a bowl, and I have a waffle maker here, and I don't have the wherewithal. I just think it was whatever day. So it's either a Sunday or Monday. And on a Monday, I can't have waffles just because it's too much of a treat, and can't have any treat till my day, like Saturday or Sunday. So I said, okay, well, we can't have that, so we can't have a waffle. I'm into all or nothing living, yes. But so I said, well, I wonder what happened if I put, and then that same part of me, the condo within me, said, are you going to read the instructions? And I laughed like that. I said, well, if what you say it. Now, the only instruction I read other than plug it in, and that, was that don't spray it. You don't need to spray it with anything. So what's the first thing I did was then you preheat it for 4 minutes. So I preheated it, and then of course I sprayed it because, and I think maybe it said 4 minutes aside for waffles. So I sprayed it just because I said oatmeal. I don't want to ruin the waffle maker on the first try by following the instructions. I mean, who would do that? Okay, great job on sifting. While you're doing that, can you take the 5 tablespoons of butter that I've been carrying around? You know, this is side warmed butter. I've been carrying it next to me, so it's human warmed butter. It's been melted by my heart. So first successful. This butter says I've been melted by your heart, Scoots. So that butter's ready. And then what you could do is, we got the oven preheated because there's stuff in the oven. Okay. Oh, can you put salt in there with what you've sifted? Great job sifting, by the way. Like if I ever need anybody to sift through anything, you're at the top of my list. Okay. So in a separate bowl, you're going to combine the butter, the eggs, and the great thing is we didn't heat the butter. It's just warmed, so it's soft. So the 4 eggs, the butter, the vanilla. Why don't you mix those first, and then add just go ahead and do that. You're right. So then what I did was I just put the oatmeal, once the thing was preheated, I just put it in there. I sprayed it first, which I think was wrong, because it's really hard to clean the spray out of there. But so then I sprayed it, and then I put the oatmeal in, and then I waffled the oatmeal. And I realized that 2018 just called and said, yeah, everybody was waffling everything in 2018, Scoots. Where were you? And I say, trying to listen to Marie Kondo and not buy a waffle maker irresponsibly. But I can tell you that the waffling of the oatmeal, I think I said, let's do 3 minutes instead of 4 minutes because this isn't a waffle. So I did 3 minutes each side. Now it came out not like a waffle, but not like oatmeal. So it's oatmeal, but it had a little bit of crispiness and caramelization to it. And this was oatmeal that I made in the Instapot with blueberries and a little bit of cinnamon sugar. And since then, I've upped my game to add a little bit of some sort of fat. Like I added, so that when you don't need to spray it. It doesn't hold up as well, but the last time I made so I'll make 1 cup of oatmeal, 2 cups of liquid, whatever liquid you want, milk, almond milk, whatever. Then you could put like bananas in there or fruits. And the great thing about the Instant Pot is then the fruits kind of cook with the oatmeal, so they kind of fall apart and really spread the flavor around. So bananas and blueberries are what I like in there. But I also added some coconut, what was that called? Coconut oil that time, maybe a tablespoon of it. And that really added something. But this time it was just canola oil spray and old oatmeal. And it still came out good. The only thing I added to it was some like ready-made whipped cream, generic from the big box grocery store, because it's a low impact way to like make something feel luxurious. Okay, so you're done with that. So now we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of Swerve brown sugar substitute and 2 tablespoons of Swerve granulated sugar substitute. And you have the vanilla in there. One of the ones I made, so I made 2 different, so before you got here, I made cupcakes with this recipe and a cake in a square, like a brownie cake pan. And in the cake one, I added, I added like a ripe banana and some walnuts. So that'll kind of give us like a cinnamon banana bread type version. The cupcakes are just a straight recipe, and Sophia loves the cupcake versions of these because it's easy to have as a snack. But when I made the cupcakes, sorry, I did change it. I added, instead of vanilla extract for the cupcakes, I added almond extract. And then instead of 5 tablespoons of butter, I added 3 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. But this one, we're staying true to Stacy's thing, even though we're not following. I can never do anything straightforward. It's just, it's not how I operate. Okay, so where was I? I totally am lost. So you've got the sugar. Let me just double check. So we have cinnamon, sugar, eggs, vanilla, and butter, and you're getting that together. And then you can, once you do that, then start, you don't want to over mix it, I guess, but you want to, stir the liquid ingredient into the dry ingredients, and then grab my spatula too while you stir it. Yeah, you go ahead and stir at your own pace. The waffle maker has been preheating for 3.5 minutes. So, so that's like so the oatmeal comes out pretty good in a waffle maker. Now the good thing is about having a free waffle maker is you don't have to worry about, well, what if that messes up the waffle maker? Like if you got it as a gift or paid for it, you'd say, I've put everything in here now. Like sandwiches, oatmeal is probably the wildest one. I'm trying to think of other stuff. I haven't done everything yet, but I've definitely, I say, well, if I'm going to eat something, I might as well put in the waffle at first. I mean, what do you call that? Seitan? Not that kind of seitan, Seitan or whatever. It's like vital wheat gluten or something. It's like a meat substitute. That did not work in the waffle maker, but I did make a quesadilla from it that did work, a waffle-adilla. So that had seitan, not Satan, seitan. I don't know how to say it, but so that had that meat substitute and cheese and sour cream, I think, and tortillas. And I just waffled that. Came out delicious. That one, I may have sprayed on that one too, which maybe I didn't. And I said, wow, it still came out fine. But I see why they say don't spray it, because it's just not made for spray. Also, you want to have something heavy around. Again, this is why I don't pay. This is why I'm glad. This is the Presto 9000. It could take anything because it's half imaginary. But I really do take my what is that called? What is this thing called that I'm holding in my hand? Oh, cast iron frying pan. And then I put that on top. So that smushes down things like the seitan quesadilla or sandwiches. Oh, what sandwiches have I made? Pastrami on rye, roast beef on rye, Swiss and sauerkraut on rye, PB&J. I plan on making. Well, anyway, we gotta get this in here. So the great thing is you're ready to go. I've run this recipe before because I wasn't about to, I didn't want to embarrass Stacy by, first of all, changing, how to cook a recipe. Just so you know, in the oven, when you make these, the ones I made here that were pulling out of the oven, they were in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. You just want to make sure they're golden brown. See, oh boy, don't those look good? Yeah, they smell delicious. So so we're going to pour the batter in. The batter will make about for the Presto 9000, 2 full waffles, which is technically 8 waffles because this is one big circle that's in quarters. And according to Waffle Box International, because I've checked the different, made other waffles on the weekend, that equals 4 waffles. One of these waffles is the equivalent of 4 waffles, and if you're getting technical. Now, this Stacy's recipe will make 8 waffles then, or for us, 2 waffles. So yeah, about half the batter. Yeah, oh, wow. And that's it. We close it up, and now I'm going to I do 3 minutes aside with this one. So we're going to prep everything, and I highly suggest go ahead and have one of the cupcakes by themselves. Like when they're warm, they don't really need anything. I mean, they're like already buttery. Yeah. Oh, wow. Isn't that good? Yeah. And then we'll cut this cake up. And again, you could add something, but the spirit of Stacy's recipe is that this is like just great by itself. Like you don't have to add any real sugar. I mean, the only thing we'll put whipped cream on this waffle once it's done. But yeah, so go ahead, have that's the banana walnut. And yeah, and just think about like as we eat, we're eating with gratitude towards the moderators and for Stacy for not just being a moderator of the Facebook group. So she's nourishing the community of Sleep With Me listeners and us. But really, as you eat it, think about the nourishment of kindness and treating people with dignity and respect. And sometimes it's a nourishment we don't even know we're getting till we're already full. And you say, wow, and it's easy to forget. We're all human beings. So nobody's perfect and we just want to try to slow down. And for me, at least, I got to speak for myself. But I'm just amazed at the kindness of all of those people. Alexandra, Laura, Summer, Sarah, Stacy, Julie, Jennifer, Keith, Lida, everybody that that they put their time and caring into the community for other people. And, it's almost time to flip it. Not quite time. I know. I get like that too. It's like kind of steaming out. The good thing is with the waffle, you don't have to use the cast iron pan because it's a batter. Where something else, yeah, we'd have to weigh it down or whatever. But yeah, so, what was I saying? I have no idea. Other waffle things. Here's the thing. If you don't have a waffle maker, again, Stacy's recipe, you just make it as a coffee cake. You can make it as coffee cupcakes. If you want to make waffles, another way I've done it is that I have a cast iron griddle on one side and a grill on the other side. And I'll make I call them waffle cakes. That's what before I had a waffle maker, that's what I'd make. It's kind of like a pancake. It's kind of like a waffle. You make it on the grill. Again, this is an indoor cast iron grill. And so you cook it on one side and then you flip it and cook it on the other. It's kind of like a striped waffle. But, I mean, this waffle maker has brought me joy. I can't believe, I'm sure that should only buy a waffle maker if you, like, I guess, like, that's the nice thing about having the Presto 9000. I say, okay, I'm using this thing, and it's bringing me joy. But I also didn't buy it on an impulse. I just picked it up on the street. We were supposed to flip. Oh, you flipped it 40 seconds ago. Thank you. Thank goodness. Okay, so let's get our plates together. I'll be honest that this, we had a little bit of stuff. Usually of 25% of one of these waffles to 50% is enough for me for regular breakfast. So, like, that's all I'm going to have. But I'm going to get our plates ready here. Because usually, if you eat it right out of there, and all we need to do is unplug the thing. But while we're saying, I just wanted to say thanks, for being here for me. And I know we had to do this virtually, so I appreciate you virtually joining me. But it's cool how I have that person running the food right to you because you're just like not that far away. And how much I appreciate everybody's kindness for the podcast, but these moderators, that you put so much work and time into other people in the community is such an example of the world that I want to live in. And I really, really appreciate it. Okay, yeah, you're getting ready? Well, we're almost ready. We got about 40 more seconds. And yeah, we could count down as everybody drifts off into dreamland, and then we'll enjoy these wonderful cakes and waffles by way of Stacy. Thank you, Stacy. And I could say, like, I could count down from 10, but like longer than like 9. Then what comes after 9, I always wonder, is like another number. 8 is the number that comes after 9. And then you count down, you go 10, 9, 8, and then you say 8, 8, 8 was 7. 9, 8, 7? Really? If 9, 8, 7, then it would be 6. And then it'd say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because it's time to take in. What I do is I just flip it. I drop the waffle on the plate like that. And we're done. Soft and pillowy, like a trip off to dreamland. Good night. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots. And as I tuck you in, I want to talk to you about Sleep With Me Plus. That's our membership program where you can support the podcast that puts you to sleep. Members get ad-free episodes, story-only episodes. At higher tiers, you get all intro episodes, all-night compilations. There's Ray episodes in there. There's on-location episodes. There's balcony episodes, Fearless Flyer episodes, extra catalog episodes. So it's really, if you're a connoisseur of Sleep With Me, if you listen all night long, or you listen to a lot of episodes every single month, like more than 6 episodes a month. You're what we built Sleep With Me Plus for, but you're also who we count on to support the show back, because the podcast does mean more to you, and you do use it, and you do get a lot out of it. So if sleep is something you do rely on for sleep, for comfort, for a little company in the deep, dark night, this is your chance to make sure it's here for the long run. If you're one of those rare listeners who's hearing me right now, who's listening, and I guess we're here together. So if you could take a minute and sign up right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, you could do it right on your phone. And then you could drift off and know night after night after night after this, you don't have to worry about it. Not only will you have the ad-free episodes, so you don't have to hear me putting myself out there to get people to support the show, but you'll also know you're a part of Sleep With Me's welcoming vibe, a part of the community behind the show, keeping it going, not just for you, but everybody else that needs it. But if you're hearing me right now, you could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. It would mean the world. Thanks.